Did you know that 60% of Microsoft Dynamics 365 ERP implementations fail to achieve their objectives? Do you know why? One key reason is because of a lack of effective change management for the D365 implementation, which led to resistance and also low adoption of the ERP platform. My name is Obi Iradian, and I am a senior change management consultant. In this video, I will show you the best and latest change management methodology to apply to increase successes for D365 ERP implementation. I will show you the exact methodology that I used at organizations like Apple, Microsoft, and many other organizations to drive real adoption, reduce resistance, and increase change successes for a wide range of technology, including D365 ERP. And if you need change management help, partnership, or have questions, you can contact me. See the link below. Are you ready? All right, let's hit the ground running. Here is the portfolio of best change management deliverables that you will want to consider delivering when rolling out D365 ERP within an organization. I will go into details shortly, but at a high level, these deliverables involve conducting change assessments, delivering communications for the D365 ERP implementation, developing and implementing change strategies and detailed plans, engaging with leaders and champions, coaching and training impacted users, and tracking change successes. You will want to apply a four-phase change management approach to help increase your success. Start by assessing readiness for the D365 ERP rollout, and then move into design where you build your change strategy, detailed plans, and assets for delivering change management for the D365 ERP implementation. The third phase is where we implement the change deliverables, and we also track adoption to ensure users are effectively adopting the D365 ERP. Finally, the fourth phase is where we sustain and reinforce the change by embedding new behaviors into day to day operations in how people are using Microsoft Dynamics D365. Each phase is time bound and scalable. What do I mean by that? It really means that we can take this model on my screen and apply it to a small D365 pilot, or we can apply the same model to an enterprise wide rollout with the same structured cadence. Now, let us quickly go over the change deliverables for phase one, change management phase for the D365 ERP implementation. There are six change readiness assessments that we normally do to really understand how ready the organization is for the D365 ERP implementation. And when I say organization, I mean the impacted groups and departments. How ready are they for the implementation? You want to think of these six assessments as your early diagnostics. So imagine taking your car to a mechanic shop. The mechanic normally has to do assessments to identify what the issues are before they start fixing your car. This is similar to what you will be doing for your change readiness assessments. Why is this important? Well, the findings from your six readiness assessments will tell you exactly where to focus your entire D365 ERP implementation change management efforts. Let us now double click into each of these 6 readiness assessments for your D365 ERP rollout. Assessment number 1 is to conduct a current state and cultural assessment that allows you to identify any change saturation. How much change are people currently going through right now? In addition, you really want to answer this key question. Is the culture of each impacted group ready to accept, embrace, and adopt a transformational D365 ERP implementation? Some groups have a culture that are resistant to change. So you should know this information to ensure that you develop the right change management strategies. And you can use focus groups, you can use surveys. We will discuss surveys shortly. You also want to conduct a change impact assessment. The purpose of this is to identify what is changing, who is impacted by the D365 ERP, and what is the level of impact by function and also by role or department. So you want to conduct process flow review sessions with the business analyst, with SMEs, with the project team to help you document the impact, similarly to what I am sharing on my screen. So what I am sharing is a change impact assessment template for D365 ERP rollouts. I am going to give this to you for free. At the end of this video, I will show you how to get access to this template as well as 10 more free templates, which I will go over during this video. I will also let you know how you can get access to a free readiness assessment survey. Now, when you take a look at my screen at the change impact assessment template for the D365 implementation, you will see the first 2 columns are capturing the impacted groups, followed by the level of impact is a low, mid, or high, and the number of impacted staff. Understanding the number will allow you to better develop the right change management plans and strategy. You also want to discuss document what is the current state and what is the future state. Most importantly, you want to capture change management requirements for training, requirements for communications, requirements for engagement. You also want to identify resistance that may derail the D365 ERP rollout at your organization. Use the free resistance management template for D365 ERP implementation that I am sharing on my screen. Capture first name, or you can enter group name. So for example, on my screen, Jordan is the first use case on our template, but instead of Jordan, you could have said marketing team or marketing department. And below that, you could have entered human resources group or human resources operations. So this free risk mitigation template for D365 implementation is flexible. You can make changes to it. You also want to conduct a mapping of your D365 ERP stakeholders. Stakeholder mapping ensures that everyone who will be impacted by the D365 ERP rollout is identified and engaged appropriately. You will notice on my screen on this free stakeholder mapping template, which I will also be giving to you for free, you will notice that on the first column, we have the type of stakeholder, followed by the first name. Instead of first name, you could have first name and last name. It's really up to you. And then which group are they part of? Instead of group, you could add another column that says division. And then instead of group, you could have department. It's really up to you. What are the interest levels, though? It is important for you to capture their interest level, as well as their ability to impact positively or negatively impact your D365 ERP rollout. You also want to capture their ability to influence other people. Here is where this is important. Let's say we have somebody that has a low interest in seeing D365 ERP implemented within your organization. That same person has a high ability to influence other people, and they also have a high ability to negatively derail your D365 ERP. That person is considered a critical stakeholder to make sure you get them to buy into the ERP implementation. As you do your stakeholder mapping and assessment, here are some of the groups that are commonly affected by a D365 ERP implementation: finance and accounting, operations and manufacturing, supply chain and logistics, IT and infrastructure, human resources and payroll, supply chain and procurement, sales and customer service, field service, analytics and reporting, and also executive leadership, just to name a few. There are a lot more, but you can get started with this list and add your own departments to the list. You also want to conduct an enablement needs assessment. Let us pause here for a second. We want to do an enablement needs assessment. Why is that? Well, different departments and groups often have different preferences for how they want to receive training, how they want to receive communications, how they want to receive training. And so, to increase your success when implementing any ERP or even CRM implementation, it is important that you interview selected individuals within the impacted departments to gather their preferences. This template on my screen will allow you to capture the information. It is one of the free change management resources I am providing to you at the end of this video. And when meeting with the selected individuals, you want to gather their preferred communication channels, right? So ask them, how does your group or your department like to receive communications? Which channels? Ask the person or the people, how often does your department or your group like to receive communication? And then for briefings is basically where you provide awareness about the D365 ERP via all hands meetings, town halls, roadshows, or other types of meetings. You also want to ask the people you are interviewing, how does your group or your department like to be briefed or engaged? You also want to ask them, how do you like to be engaged? How do you like to be trained? Do you like hands-on training, virtual training? And we will discuss the importance of doing this exercise as we progress with today's video. You also want to send out a readiness survey that allows you to gather the level of awareness, the level of desire to support the D365 ERP implementation, the level of knowledge and also confidence that people have. At the end of this video, the readiness survey will be one of those free resources that I also give to you. Before we dive into change management delivery for phase 2, for rolling out the D365 implementation, let's pause here very quickly. If you need help with delivering change management for any project, including D365 ERP implementation, do reach out to me. See the link below. Phase 2 is the change management design and develop phase for your D365 ERP implementation. In this phase 2, you will focus on designing and developing your change management strategies and your change management plans for rolling out change management for the D365 implementation. It is also during this phase that you will be developing the key materials that you will be using for communications, for training, and also for enablement. Now, let us start with the strategies. There are 7 strategies on my screen that you will want to finalize. And they cover all angles from communication and engagement to resistance management and training. The reason why I say finalize is because I have a strategic playbook that I have used to successfully increase my success. And I am going to give you that playbook for free. It is in PowerPoint. And I've added this playbook to our library of resources. It includes these key 7 strategies. You just have to review the strategies and say, I agree, I agree, I agree, and make that playbook your own. Okay? But let me show you what it looks like. When you get into the strategic playbook template, which is in PowerPoint, you will see this cover slide, which is the first slide. You click and then you get to this strategic playbook overview slide. And this slide provides a quick summary of the recommended strategies that you want to consider to help increase change adoption for any project that you might be implementing. As we go through this strategic playbook, I will highlight some key information that you need to know. The first one is when you access and you are using this template playbook, you want to ensure that you include impacted audience. Which groups or personas or job roles will be impacted by your project? You also want to include the level or the severity of impact and ensure that you socialize this slide with stakeholders and also leadership. Your communication strategies, you can leverage the ones that we currently have here on the template, but we recommend that you implement a hybrid communication approach that involves a top-down and a bottom-up approach. What exactly is this? With the top-down, and here is a visual representation, with the top-down, the change and program team are providing communications to leaders and managers and asking them to cascade those communications to end users. For the bottom up, it starts from the bottom. The change and the program team, including the champions, are sending up communications to everyone. That's a bottom up. And so your approach is to use both of them, which is why we call it a hybrid approach. It is very effective to increase change management successes. Within the playbook, you will notice we have also included the channels that you can use to communicate out your change project. This is a template, meaning you have to take this and make changes to it to ensure it matches your project and also your organization. Another strategy included here is the engagement strategy. And here you would notice we propose you do a 2-way communication and engagement approach. What is the difference between communication and engagement? Well, engagement really is the interactive component of communicating a change. It involves doing briefings, conducting meetings, doing roadshows, giving people the opportunity to ask questions in real time. So you want to include what we are looking at here on this slide as part of your engagement strategies. And here we are actually providing visual views of the different channels you will want to consider using as part of your strategies for engaging impacted users. So there was a kickoff event, there are roadshows, town halls, focus meetings, and you also have interactive workshops, conduct focus groups, feedback sessions, engage your champions with regular meetings, conduct drop-in support calls, do virtual Q&A sessions, and also have stakeholder roundtables. Now, obviously, it might not be possible for you to do every single one of these, which is fine. The goal is we are presenting you with a portfolio of options. It is up to you to determine which one or two or three or four you have the bandwidth and the capability to implement. Another strategy included here is how to mitigate resistance. You want to apply a proactive and a reactive approach. A proactive approach is identifying where resistance will come from and then developing the plans to ensure it doesn't come up. Reactive is when you identify resistance and then you have to mitigate that. This strategic playbook also includes strategies for engaging with leaders and also sponsors. And you can see here we have included respective activity types, cadence, how often, and also the purpose. And then there is also strategies for your change champion network, as well as strategies for your training deliverables. Here we've included different strategies to help increase your success. Now, once again, that was a quick overview of the strategic playbook, which is free. And the goal is you take this template and you customize it to match your purpose, your project, and your organization. After finalizing your strategies using the free change management strategic playbook that I just went over, the next step is now for you to develop your change management plans. Having a comprehensive set of change management plans ensures that the D365 ERP implementation is not just planned, but executed in a structured, measurable way. There are communication and engagement plans you will want to put together, stakeholder and sponsorship plans. But let me go on to the next slide and you can take a screenshot of this slide. What we are looking at here is this. On the left of this table, we have listed the plan for you to put together. On the right column, where it says focus, is where we have outlined what your plan should focus on. So, for example, let's take row 2, where it says communication and engagement plan. When putting together this plan, your focus should be how, when, and who to communicate with. For your stakeholder and sponsorship plan, your focus is how leaders and sponsors will advocate and model the change. So your detailed step-by-step plan is how can you get this to happen? And once again, you can use this video again and again. You can rewind to take screenshots of specific sections to help increase your success. You also want to develop and socialize a holistic change roadmap for the D365 ERP. Emphasis here on change management roadmap. This is not the project roadmap. This is not the program roadmap. This is not the IT roadmap. This is the change management roadmap. We know that to increase our successes, we should integrate our change management roadmap with the program or the project roadmap. But you also want your own one pager or one slide view that shows leadership and stakeholders the change management activities and when each activity will be landing. So make sure you have a holistic change roadmap for your D365 ERP implementation. I also have a free template for you to use, okay? And then for the main communications you want to develop for your D365 ERP implementation, you want to develop invites for kickoff sessions, for onboarding, for roadshows, invites to invite people to these events. You also want to use invites for when scheduling a training. You want to use emails for reminders about training, reminders about upcoming events, updates, get ready countdowns, go live, and post go live. And then you want to use newsletters to maintain momentum, share success stories, and keep people informed. If you look at the bottom left of my screen, you see where it says tips and tricks. Well, that has increased my successes as a change management consultant a lot. Tips and tricks include things like short soundbite videos. It could be 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 2 minutes, or a few minutes that helps users see how to use D365. It allows them to see value faster in using D365. You also want to develop materials that you will use to onboard, engage, and equip your champions that will be supporting your D365 ERP implementation. You want to ensure that you develop the champion onboarding kickoff deck and also the change champion toolkit that the champions will use to communicate the D365 to manage resistance, as well as other resources that the champions will need to help drive adoption. In addition, you should create leadership engagement materials to help leaders understand what is changing from a leadership perspective and also help them champion the D365 ERP rollout. In addition to developing an engagement guide that shows the leader what really is the driving factors behind the program, what is the value and the impact, you also want to put together a leadership playbook that allows the leader, that provides the leader with talking points and also communications for them to cascade. We will discuss a day in the life in a few minutes' time, but I want to talk about what we are looking at here on the bottom right of my screen. Take a look. You see where it says Leader Action Roadmap? This is very important for you to do, to create, and it is also very simple for you to create. You can literally take a screenshot of what you are looking at here and create your own version within minutes. It basically is a roadmap that you send to leaders. It's normally in one slide. And it can be part of a deck, but I normally recommend send this out as a standalone. It lets leaders know what's expected of them before, during, and after go live. Very important. In addition, you want to develop persona-based or role-based learning materials, including longer videos, user guides and handbooks, detailed guides, checklists and cheat sheets, and also learning materials. What is this we are looking at here on my right, where we say centralized hub for all resources? This is something I really encourage you to ensure you are creating if you haven't done so already. It is really a centralized hub or a centralized website. You can use SharePoint, you can use Teams, you can use any intranet your organization is using. This website will hold all your change management materials, updates, and training resources. This ensures that people, impacted users, all have access to one place where all materials or change management materials about the D365 ERP is located. But once again, you don't necessarily need to use SharePoint. You can use Teams. You can use some internal folder or websites that your organization uses. Before we go on, if you are finding value in this video, do go ahead and give this video a like. That helps me a lot. It also lets me know you found it useful. Most importantly, it lets the algorithm know that there is value in this video, and then it will share this video with other people like you that might be looking for best change management practices for a D365 implementation. You can also subscribe to our channel to be kept updated on useful content. And you can also let me know below if you have any questions or feedback. So now we move on to phase 3 of our change management program, which is the implement and manage adoption phase for D365 ERP rollout. This third phase focuses on executing our communications, executing our engagement plans and strategy, and also delivering training and enablement to drive adoption. For this phase, you want to deliver targeted communications through email, town halls, newsletters, videos, and the enablement website that you have put together. Here is something that is important. Keep messages transparent, concise, and consistent. You can use the free communication plan template that I have on my screen for your D365 ERP implementation. Capture the communication audience for your D365, the type of communication, the frequency, the priority, the channel, who's going to deliver the communication, and also the communication objectives. You also want to launch your Change Champion Network for the D365 ERP rollout. Conduct a kickoff call. During the kickoff call, go over roles and responsibilities with the champions and also tell them how you plan to support them. During the kickoff call, you also want to provide champions with the toolkits that you put together during the design and develop phase. Throughout the D365 ERP implementation, you want to ensure you keep your champions engaged. Use regular check-ins, weekly or every other week in the beginning, and then extend that to once a month. Also conduct office hours for champions to ask questions or seek help. Also engage with champions via the channel that you've created in Teams, Slack, or Zoom, or whatever collaborative channel your organization uses. Invite your champions to this channel and share information with them on a regular basis. You can also ask them, hey, champions, how is everyone doing with adopting the D365 ERP? Is anyone running into any issues? Are you identifying resistance within your departments, right? Engage your champions. That really goes a long way in increasing the efficiency and effectiveness of a change champion network for your D365 implementation. It is also during this phase 3 that you deliver your white glove leadership onboarding and coaching. When doing this, I normally do one-on-one sessions, and other times I can do small group sessions. I normally send out an email like the one that you are seeing on my screen. And you can take a screenshot of this email draft and leverage this email for your purpose. You want to send each leader this email and basically just thank them for their partnership and leadership as we prepare for the where it says business transformation on my screen. You can replace that with as we prepare for the D365 ERP rollout. And then you let the leader know that during this, you are planning to schedule a 45-minute session with them. And during this 45 minutes, here are some key things you will be going over with the leader. Take a look at the middle bottom section of my screen. At the bottom of this executive outreach email. Very, very important for you to include this when you send this out to the leader. It says, we will coordinate with your executive assistant to confirm a time that works best for your schedule. Basically, you are letting the leader know they don't really have to do anything. They don't have to schedule the meeting. You are going to engage with their EA to do that. Very important, okay? Now, take a look at the right. Day in the life use cases. This is going to be one of the things you go over with the leader during the white glove session, and I will explain really what this means. And I will equip you so you can become an expert in doing day in the life use cases. Super easy. But first, let us talk about something about leaders. Why do we need to coach them? Why do we need to onboard them? During D365 ERP implementation, your mid-level and senior level leaders become the bridge that helps increase successes. They become the bridge between the project team and the change team and the employees. We call on leaders to act as communicators. We ask them to share the vision. We ask them to explain why the D365 really matters. We ask them to explain the benefits. We also ask them to be advocates. We ask them to show visible support through their actions. We ask leaders to act as liaisons to help provide feedback and share insights. We also ask them to step into the role of coaching their departments through the change, including during all hands meetings or team meetings. Leaders also play the role of resistance managers. They help identify and address concerns early before they spread. When leaders actively step into these five roles, guess what happens? Adoption accelerates and resistance decreases, which is why it is very important for you to coach and help all impacted leadership stakeholders to connect the dots on how the D365 ERP will help them personally. When they see how it helps them personally, it becomes easy for them to step into these five roles that we are asking them to step into. When meeting with the leader, you want to do a quick overview of this day in the life, which basically we show the leader how D365 will help them throughout the day to increase their productivity. When I do this, I start out by going over what the leader does around 8 o'clock. Let us take John as our use case. John leads the sales department. John's department will be impacted by the D365 ERP implementation. I am meeting with John and I say, hey, John, around 8 a.m., I understand here are some of the things that you normally do. You normally review your emails, you review daily sales dashboards, and you do a couple of other things. Now, John, here is how D365 will help increase your productivity. And then I go over that with John. John might have questions, and I will address those questions. And then I will click one more time. And I will say, hey, John, around 9:30 a.m., I understand you normally analyze sales pipeline data to identify deal flows, and you also do other things. Here is how D365 ERP will help you. And then I click once, and then I go over what John normally does at 11 a.m., and then I go over how D365 ERP will help. And then I build this day in the life until I get all the way to 5 p.m. Now, I recommend using a build slide approach. That way, you're not just showing John everything at once. You will lose your audience if you do that. Instead, make it a build slide like I just did, right? So start with 8 a.m. and then build the slide to 9:30 to 11 to 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Okay? All right. Now, you also want to deliver hands-on training. Do you remember what I said earlier when I was talking about it is important for you to conduct enablement needs assessment? And I said for you to meet with selected individuals within the impacted groups to gather information on how their group or department likes to receive change management, how they like to receive training, how they like to receive communications. Well, when you are delivering your hands-on training, make sure you are doing it in a way that each group that is impacted by D365 ERP, how they prefer to receive change management. So if a group says we like virtual training sessions, then you want to make sure that is what you deliver. If a group says we prefer in-person training, then you want to make sure you deliver in-person training. If a group says we want virtual and in-person, so virtual for people that cannot show up in person for people that can show up, then you want to ensure you deliver virtual as well as in person. You also want to conduct office hours. Office hours are basically sessions that you schedule. It could be weekly, it could be twice a week, it could be 3 times a week in the beginning around go live, and then you can reduce that to once a week. But it gives people the opportunity to join a call to say, I need help or I have questions. And then when they have their questions answered, they can hop off the call. You also want to manage resistance proactively and reactively. Now, if you take a look at my screen at the risk mitigation template for D365 ERP implementation, you see this column here where it says resistance management task. That is where you want to enter your task for managing resistance. You do that during the assess phase. So phase one, when you're doing your 6 change readiness assessments, resistance assessment was one of them. When you are populating your resistance mitigation template, you also want to add how would you address resistance for each department, for each person. Okay, so it is during this phase 3 that you manage resistance by carrying out your resistance management task. You also want to track adoption metrics like user usage, training completion rates, as well as FAQs that people are asking. I recommend that you contact the project leads or IT admins and ask them to give you access to the D365 ERP reporting dashboard. The reporting dashboard allows you to track usage. How many people are signing in? How many people are using the D365 ERP? Do you notice an increase after doing training or after sending out communications? Do you notice any increase in people logging in to use D365? So you want to track all of this usage as well as which objects within D365 are people using the most. There are different modules and objects within D365, and you can track which ones people are using the most. Very important. The 4th phase of our change management implementation is the sustain and reinforce phase. During this phase is when we embed new habits into daily operations. For this phase, you want to start by maintaining your change champion network and your feedback loops. Keep champions and leaders engaged through monthly or quarterly meetings. You can also continue to send out the D365 ERP adoption survey. And then you also want to continue office hours and user support to ensure that you are sustaining the new ways in which people are using D365. This ensures that you can provide ongoing help and also you can refresh training as needed. You want to continue to measure adoption and usage. You also want to ensure that you capture and integrate lessons learned so that future projects can learn from this experience. You also want to ensure you are recognizing people that are adopting the ERP the most. What I normally do to increase success is when I identify individuals that are really going far and beyond, I draft a communication. I give it to a leader or to multiple leaders, and I say, please cascade this communication to everyone within your organization to recognize these selected individuals that are really using D365 ERP. This is very successful, and I encourage you to do the same. Why? Well, the people that are being recognized, it gives them motivation to do more. It gives them motivation to use D365 even more. What about the people that are not being recognized? Well, it gives them even more incentive to go start using D365. That way, they can be part of the people that are recognized in the future. Let us go over the methodology so you can see everything in one slide. So we talked about 4 phases, right? So the first phase is where you do your change readiness assessments for the D365 ERP rollout. The second phase is where you build your change strategy, your detailed plans, as well as materials and assets for delivering change management for the D365 ERP implementation. The next phase is where we implement the change deliverables and we track adoption to support the D365 ERP rollout. And finally, we sustain and we reinforce the change by embedding new behaviors into day-to-day operations. Each phase is time-bound and scalable, meaning we can apply this model for a small pilot or we can expand it enterprise-wide with the same structured cadence for delivering D365 ERP. You can take a screenshot and you can actually share this with your leadership and your stakeholders as your 4-phase approach. But you will get one question. You know what that question is? They will ask you, how long will it take you to deliver what you just showed them? Here's the response that I normally provide to leadership and as well as stakeholders. It will take 3 to 12 months to deliver end to end. But I also tell them that the specific time, it could be less than 3 months, it could be more than 12 months, but the specific time will depend on scope, scale, readiness, availability, and other readiness assessment findings that you conduct for that project. Very important for you to emphasize that. Here is something else that is important for you to emphasize to your leaders. You want to let them know that this 3 to 12 months average timeline is really for the change management component, meaning that the time it takes IT and the project and the program team to plan out and design and develop and test configurations of D365 and integration with other systems within the organization. All of those planning, all of those designing, all of those development, all of those testing are not part of your 3 to 12 months. 3 to 12 months is really just change management. Now, wait, before you go, come back. Let us go over 2 questions that a lot of people ask all the time. It is important for you to know because your leadership, your stakeholders, your program leads might be asking you these 2 questions because they really want to know. They don't really understand what change management is for D365 or the value that change management provides. So here are the 2 questions you will get. 1, what is change management for D365 ERP implementation? The answer, organizational change management for D365 ERP implementation involves applying a structured, repeatable approach that guides how the organization will prepare, manage, and reinforce the people side of D365 ERP transformation. Change management helps impacted users accept, embrace, and adopt the new D365 ERP solution. The next question you might get is, why is change readiness assessment important in D365 ERP projects? A change readiness assessment is critical in D365 ERP projects because it helps identify organizational strengths, risk, and readiness for D365 adoption. We are basically answering the question, how prepared is each impacted group ready to accept, to embrace, and to adopt the D365 ERP? And if you need a top change management consultant to help you with your D365 implementation, you can reach out to me. The link is below. You will also find the link to the free readiness assessment survey for you to start using today. You will also find the link to our library of free change management resources that includes the different templates that I went over with you today. You will also find the link to the detailed step-by-step guide that covers everything that I just went over today. And if you have any questions, go ahead and answer those questions below. And don't forget to like this video, as that lets me know that you have received value from it. You can also subscribe to the channel so you don't miss great content like this one.